Welcome back to Morning at NTV. You're right on time for our third conversation for the day with Mr. Enoch Chibamu, the chairperson of the National Building Review Board. Now, on September 4th, 2020, the Minister for Works and Transport, General Katumba, gazetted the building control regulations fees requiring any structure, including a house, to obtain a permit before you raise it. Now, the fees were made uniform for cities, municipalities, town councils and the districts alike. But how much are the fees and the justification? To speak to us about this and more, I'm joined by Mr. Enoch Chibamu, the chairperson of the Uganda National Building Review Board. He joins me right now in studio. Very good morning, sir.
Morning to you, sir.
Thank you for making time to join us on Morning at NTV.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
There's a pertinent question that is making rounds on social media, making rounds on the lips of our viewers who are watching the show right now. Why would one require a permit to put up a building?
Thank you very much. As I said, it's my pleasure to be here. Architect Enoch Chibamu, the chairman of the National Building Review Board. As you know, there is nothing that is almost done apart from probably agriculture that is not happening inside a building.
Indeed.
So therefore buildings have got to be regulated. Even where we are right now, we are inside a building.
That is understandable, but why would I need a permit to put up my house?
You need a permit to ensure that house is being put up in compliance with the minimum expectations. Particularly buildings which are of public concern, public consumption. Particularly buildings with access, where the public is meant to access full time. But also, even we must make sure that you are safe. The people who are living in your house and those who come there are safe. And ultimately, there is value for money in terms of what you're putting up. So you need a building permit.
Architect Enoch, we also hear that buildings are classified. What are some of the different classes?
Well, we've been treating buildings as buildings in the past. Now, in 2013, we came up with government came up with the Building Control Act 2013, which establishes the National Building Review Board. And in this act, which we inaugurated 2 years ago, it is very important that buildings, we've now classified them. There is what we call Class A. Those are buildings with of complex nature, and particularly buildings which are high risers, 12 meters above. So meaning that 4 floors and above. Those we call them complex buildings. Then there are those of medium complexity, residentials and commercials, that are going up to 4 levels. That's about 12 meters. Then we have Class C, which is temporary buildings and minor buildings. You know, those are simple buildings which are not exceeding 30 square meters in area. You talk about 5 meters by 6 meters building, including a kiosk and the rest. All these have got to be regulated because they are buildings, whether they are of temporary or permanent materials. So we've come up as the National Building Review Board with that classification. So it is very clear if you're going to undertake a particular construction, which category of building do you fall in. And that has led us to the coming up of the charges towards obtaining the building permits across the country, because we're not only operating in Kampala, but we're operating across the country. What has been happening in the past, we did not have any regulation to building permits. It was purely a local matter.
So a different district could come up with its own uniform fees, town council or municipality.
Exactly. I had you come up talk about a preamble, like Koboko and other places. In our research as the board, we actually discovered that most of these rural areas, town councils, municipalities, were even charging much higher.
But how so? Because you told me Koboko was charging far more than a building structure in Kampala.
If you look at Kampala, until of recent, a square meter of an area to be built, it has been charged 1,000 shillings.
All right.
But about 4 or 5 months ago, KCCA raised the fees to 2,000 shillings per square meters. But you'll discover that we found in many areas where a square meter was going actually for 4,000 shillings. Now, those are rates which were, first of all, very prohibitive. People cannot bring their plans. And also, we discovered that it was being used as a measure by those in charge to charge exorbitantly and then create another window.
I see.
Yeah, where they could get some money to make a living.
So unscrupulous people were
Exactly.
making a killing off of that.
Exactly.
So help us understand some of the pros or advantages of having this new structure, physical planning.
Now, the pros or the advantages of having this structure, no matter where you are. Now we've been having only Kampala as a city.
Yeah.
Now we've got about 10 cities or
Jinja, yeah.
Jinja, Fort Portal, Arua, Soroti, Masaka, Mbarara, and probably many others as we Hoima, as we continue growing. Now, if you're at a city status, you know that I'm going to invest in a city. Then you have a particular rate. You know this rate is a city.
Yes.
And in return also we expect the property value in that particular location to be also commensurate with what you are getting. If you're in a particular town council, if a particular place has attained a status of a town council, it's not just a mere political status. It's actually a status of development. The development has moved to a level of a municipality. So if I'm in a particular municipality, Nansana municipality, it means I'm actually at the same level with the Entebbe municipality. Or with any other municipality, Mbarara, other municipalities within Mbarara district. So that brings in uniformity. And we're going to see people moving in different locations of the country to invest in particular places. What you want to know is that in the past we've been mainly developing with emotions, knowing that this is my hometown, not with being driven by investment.
Yes.
So you'll invest knowing that they have a return of value in this particular area.
And of course, Mr. Enoch, we also have information that buildings have continued to collapse despite the existence of the Uganda National Building Review Board. So what measures have you undertaken to ensure that this negative trend is reversed?
Well, the National Building Review Board, as I said, on October 2nd, it will be making 2 years.
All right.
So we've been in the background putting actually paperwork, putting documentation, putting laws. In the past, we've been mainly working on the Public Health Act, Building Regulation 1969, which has been operating. Now that one has ended. In the recent past, in 2010, we got the Physical Planning Act, which actually is supposed to look at the land use patterns, land use development. So we are 2 years into this, but in these 2 years, we put up what we call the National Building Code, which is our standard, the Uganda standard. Most of our designs have been based on British standard, have been based on the Euro Code, but now we have developed a Uganda standard. We have the building regulations, which are now in place, what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do and who is supposed to do what. We have moved to formation of building committees. Now we're also going into automation. The fees have not been there, they have been now gazetted. So the issue of buildings collapsing, first of all, it is a sign that development has started now going on a higher riser. We've mainly been building for basic shelter.
It's not a sign of shoddy work,
well,
but development.
One, it's a sign of development.
Yeah.
It means most high risers are now coming up. Number two, there is shoddy work because the sector has not been fully regulated. And Ugandans have acquired some good money, so they are moving in to put in their money. And unfortunately, taking shortcuts, bypassing professionals, architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, and project managers, and the like. They're putting them on the side to make sure there is a bit of a saving. But we are now steadily moving into this. We've got all these regulations, we've got all these material, we have information now, how to move in. We're moving into them. There is the issue of collapsing buildings, but there is also the issue of fires. Just recently, our Ivory Tower has been gutted with fire. That's a building operation. It's our concern. You know, a building collapsing is as bad as a building catching fire.
Indeed.
We have also issues of public health, issues of ventilation, issues of lighting, energy efficiency. The Building Control Act 2013 looks into all these matters. So mechanical issues, electrical issues, structural issues, issues of aesthetics, how buildings look like, how beautiful or bad they are. All those are issues of our concern. And of course, we are working so closely with our sister regulator, the National Physical Planning Board, now to make sure that we streamline the physical planning, the urban planning, the road network, the different areas. What should you develop where? By the time it comes now to a building operation, for us to get interest in where the building is concerned.
Tell us some of the ramifications of COVID-19 towards your operations as the Uganda National Building Review Board? How has COVID-19 affected your operations?
Well, COVID-19 has affected the entire sector, but particularly also the building industry. Many people took advantage because
I saw that, yes.
The regulators were out of action, so many used that as a window to put up structures that are not regulated.
At a quick pace.
At a quick pace. And you remember the President's directive was very clear that construction sites should continue operating, but meeting the standard operating procedures, which we developed along the way and issued. So a lot has happened. Regulation has not been there. Compliance has not been there. And also there's been a rush as if the world is actually ending today. So we've had different buildings coming up in different areas in a rushy way, like the one which came down in apartments which came down in Makindi
yes.
about 2-3 weeks ago. Everything happened in 4 months. So in 4 months, really, how can you have 4 levels coming up?
And how are you circumventing all this to ensure that it doesn't happen?
Well, first of all, we are now moving in to set the building committees. Number 2, we are having the building control officers. You've been hearing them as building inspectors. But most important, we are moving in to ensure that we have competent people. You know, the whole burden falls on the developer. But that developer must employ competent people. Competent people to design, competent people to supervise, but also competent people to do the work on site. So we want the engineer on site to be really competent, to be highly qualified, but also we are shifting the burden to the professionals. The professionals must continuously give us what we call progress reports, because the building inspectors are seen on the ground. You find like in Kampala, you have one building inspector for a whole division. For God's sake, this person is not an angel. So we are moving to reinforce that, but also to ensure that the professionals, the architect, the engineer, gives the authority progressive reports. And we're moving also to put it online. Something is coming up, it's in the cooking called BIMS, Building Industry Information Systems, so that you can post everything. And also we are involving the public, you the public, and that's why I'm here this morning. Please let us be vigilant, let us be competent to know what is going on in our neighborhoods.
Indeed.
And the key person, Neighborhood Watch, is the LOC system. There is no single development that happens in a particular area, and the LOC of that place does not know. So is a first line. As you're getting applying for a building permit, we expect a letter of introduction from the area local council. But also as the building, we give a building permit, we are going to be issuing a certificate, building permit certificate, a copy to the local council, so that they know that this is permitted and this is not permitted. And all these are measures to make sure that the development is following a regulated environment.
And Architect Enoch, what is the role of the building committees in all this?
Now, the building committees are the lowest levels. They receive the applications. I see. They consider the applications. They have the right to accept or reject the applications. And this, according to the law, is supposed to be done within 30 days. If it doesn't happen within 30 days, then you better come to the National Building Review Board. We have put up a hotline. We have on Twitter. We have a website. Please come back to us and say, I'm not getting the answer. Because most people who are developing out there, they're saying their plans or their building permits. By the way, now we're not emphasizing a building plan, but the permit, which should come with conditions. So we are handling this in that way. Yeah.
All right. Let's as we wrap up, we have like at least 3 minutes to end this conversation. We'd like to get some recommendations from the Uganda National Building Review Board on the same.
Yes. Now, dear Ugandans, viewers, as the National Building Review Board, we are requesting you to treat everything what we call a building operation with a high level of seriousness. We are appealing to you to know that you are investing your savings in buildings. There is a rush to put up buildings, meaning that there is a good storage for money and value in buildings. We are requesting you to be competent. Look out for professionals. Make sure that professionals are following your work. Approach the National Building Review Board. The building committees, we are requesting you to set up quickly. Now we are in a drive of sensitizing and setting up these building committees so they can do their work. And also to you, to the media, we are really appealing to you that everything happens in a building. Even agriculture, we're now moving to value addition, we're moving to controlled agriculture, and all this is going to happen in a building. So we are appealing to you that let us work together. Reach out. We are on Lumumba Avenue. That's where the National Building Review Board is. Every approving authority has now a building committee. We are happy KCCA, about probably a week now, they have set up the building committee for Kampala Capital City Authority. So we are going to see things streamlined, things moving better. I can personally see the future brighter than it has ever been.
Of course, we can blame the contractors for employing people who are not at par with the standards. But then we have to task the people who are at the upper echelon, the people at the National Building Review Board, the people in the building committees. How best can we remove corruption from these upper ranks to ensure that we streamline all these processes? What are you doing to get rid of corruption in your ranks?
Now, to me, I think the key fighting tool for about corruption is the access to information. Once people have the information, they know their rights, and they have to. They always defend their rights. Now, with contractors, we are not looking at the name per se. As I said, we are looking for the competent person inside the contractor. As you know, a contractor is a businessman who puts resources together, including the human resource. So we're looking for the competent people. So the building permits that you're getting now, they'll be telling you what competencies we expect on that particular site. So if someone built your beautiful residential house in the village, doesn't mean that you'll put up a 5-story or high-riser, not put up pension towers on Lumumba Avenue. So we are moving into all this, and we are empowering the building committees to work with the local system to make sure that all this is moving well.
Of course, we've been getting information that a building could be stopped, but the contractor could run to maybe the National Building Review Board, talk to some people, pay off some money, and members of the community are saying these people continue with the projects even after being stopped by maybe KCCA.
The first point of stopping is the building control officer. The second level of stopping is the building committee.
Right.
And actually, the National Building Review Board is where people should run to for help.
Yes.
In case of building committee or building of control officer is not doing it right. So the issue of corruption is a widespread aspect, as you know, in our country. But steps are being taken to control and regulate this. And I believe we'll have it the right way.
Architect Enoch Chinabye is the chairperson of the Uganda National Building Review Board. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to NTV.
Thank you very much, sir.
And to you at home who has been watching all the way from 6:30 a.m. up to now, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. We want to thank you for that loyalty. Yes, I'll be here tomorrow, same time, 6:30 all the way to 9 a.m. But I'd like to leave you with a message. There is a daily monitor in my midst. You do not want to miss any of the contents in this paper. It will help you to start your day on a good note. On the cover page of the Daily Monitor, they have a very contentious headline: private hospitals to treat COVID-19 patients. So you know how ugly the situation is. We have how many? 7,530 positive cases and 3,647 recoveries and 73 deaths in that regard. So if private hospitals are going to be doing the jobs the government has undertaken since March, so that means we have more cases that are skyrocketing. And now the question is, who is going to incur the costs of treating patients in these private hospitals? To get more answers on this and a lot more, you can get your copy of the Daily Monitor at only 2,000 Uganda shillings. If you're unable to get a hard copy, there's also an easier e-version. You simply have to visit www.nationmedia.com/UG. And despite government reopening charges, many are still shut. You can get all these details within the Daily Monitor. And to the kings, the queens, the boys and girls who are celebrating their birthdays on this particular Monday, the 28th of September, the year 2020, we do wish you a joyous birthday. And to the 8th annual NSSF members meeting, it will be taking center stage at around 9 a.m. Do look out for that. Have yourselves a blessed day.